Hi, folks, and welcome to the Political Matrix News. I'm Scott Miller, and this is my partner in crime there, Mr. Greg Fink.
Crime. There's
Well,
no crime
politics is
here.
the exercise of politics is basically a crime.
Well, actually, yeah, I mean, we've been debanked and debunked and everything else. And actually, all of our debunking has been debunked because all of our bunking has been right. But today we're going to start out with a tragic story here about up there in Minnesota, Minneapolis here, about the shooting in the Catholic school. And I mean, I do think this whole this situation here is horrible. I guess at this point right now, today's August 27th here. 2 children have died and 17 were injured at this moment, and I mean, it's sad, man. But the thing is, I mean, Sean Handy had one idea today about metal detectors in schools. It will not fix this because he is shot from outside the school through the glass, indiscriminately against anybody who is in the school or the church. He shot through the stained glass. I mean, nothing's going to fix that. I mean, except for soul fixing, soul cleansing. I mean,
Well, I mean, leave it to the left to propose as they do every single time, and I mean, without even looking, I can tell you what's going to happen. They're going to propose all sorts of anti-gun laws, just like the one that you were talking about, that does not do a single thing to address the motivating problem. It's
and
just something that makes it look like you're doing something good. Well, we've had 40 years of this, and it has not prevented a single shooting.
exactly. I mean, he used a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun, all of which were legally purchased. And granted, there's this big argument here because he's a trans individual, and so is it the trans movement going after the church or something like that? Or I think that's just going way. I mean, that the stereotyping the entire trans movement by this one take is just just disgusting. I mean, people got to realize these murders are done by evil people.
Yes, he didn't kill them because he's trans. He
No,
killed them because he's crazy.
exactly, he's evil. I mean, 2 children, 17 people. I mean, he actually had, I guess, in his video, his manifesto, he had gun magazines with "Kill Donald Trump" on it. And I mean, the guy had an anger issue. I mean, granted, yeah, I mean, he probably was a liberal, I mean, and granted, I mean, there's a possibility here that not being religious, he had a hatred or anger toward a lot of religious. I know his mom was actually a worker at the school, at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, and so, but she's not working there anymore. She was previously. So
Well, at the end of the day, we don't know a thing in the world right now, although you couldn't tell it from the way that the mainstream media and frankly the internet are going off. Like everyone, of course, everyone knows. They all seize on some stupid little talking point that
exactly.
supports their agenda, their little pet agenda, and all of a sudden that's the motivation for it, whether they have any sort of information to that effect or not.
I mean, even the cops on the site said they have no idea what motivated it at this point in time right now. But I mean, sometimes people just snap, and there should be, issues with, them not having. There's always a question now: should they have access to guns or not? But unfortunately, you have no idea who's crazy until they actually go to the doctor and get diagnosed that way. And so, I mean, you know, it's a slippery slope. But unfortunately, it's the Second Amendment, and people still do have the right to protect themselves. And wow, that's a political matrix mug you got there. And so, I digress to that. You guys want to purchase one? It's $9.99. Anyway, but I mean, we do have the Second Amendment right here to bear arms, and it doesn't really say in the Constitution whether you're crazy or not. Now, maybe they should have thought about some things a little harder, but unfortunately, you can't really tell unless you've been to a doctor and diagnosed. It's like a lot of people have back pains that, unfortunately, that nobody knows that they had a bad back until the doctor tells them they do. I mean,
Well,
people, if
well,
it's not scripted or documented.
I honestly, regardless of how good of an idea something is, it's not a good idea to try to implement your good idea, your
Right.
genius idea, when it violates the Constitution. You
Yeah.
can't. So the Constitution is the top law of the land. So if you go, just because the federal government has unlimited resources and thinks something's a good idea doesn't mean that you can change it. You can change that Constitution and do it without that. That's my main objection. Anything, if you can get the rest of America to buy into that thing, I'll sometimes grudgingly, accept it. But at least you went through the process of doing that. It is supposed to be hard to change the
Oh,
Constitution,
it is.
because changing the Constitution is a very serious matter with long-reaching problems. You can't have a situation where it's people are putting tax policy and social policy in the Constitution, because if you do it the wrong way, it is an enormous deal to get it undone.
What do you think
So,
about what Trump is doing now with the flag? About him
well,
wanting to put people in jail who burn the flag, which I think is a little bit of an overreach. Now, granted, even Charlemagne the God is supporting this, which I think is kind of ironic that we have black activists who are a little bit more on the left instead of the right actually supporting what Trump is doing. But I think it's a little bit of an overreach to put him in jail for a year. I mean, they're not
well,
inciting riots. I mean, like he says they are.
number one, I don't think it's constitutional. Now, if you want to if you want to address the exact same issue without the Constitution, without invoking the Constitution, you can make it. You can make it so that people can't be charged, for or that there's only a minimal charge if you for people who defend the flag. So
Right,
if someone's burning a flag in front of you and you go do something aggressive to defend the flag, well, you should have immunity. Do
right.
that. I mean, within
Exactly.
reason. I mean, you can't, you know, can't commit grave bodily harm on somebody, but
You
you
can't beat
can
them down.
snatch that flag out of their face and push them back and stuff like that. And as long as your violence is limited to just pushing someone back and grabbing the flag, I think that would be a great way to do it. That wouldn't require you to alter the Constitution.
The smartest thing, though, is if you are going to do that, make sure it's on camera because
Sure.
that's a
Okay.
huge he
Oh,
said,
oh,
she
don't worry. If
said.
they're burning don't worry. If they're burning flags, there's a camera somewhere.
It most likely is because they're celebrating it. And granted, I don't agree with them burning the flag at all, period. I mean, I think it's disgusting, it's wrong, it's hatred of America. But, unfortunately, it's still a right. I mean, you're allowed to have a right to hate America. If you shouldn't be here, probably, but, you are. And it is what it is. And so, I mean, there's not laws on basic, you can't have laws on against hate because hate is legal. It's not
Absolutely.
preferable. It's not
Hate is
lovable.
an expression of is a First Amendment protected expression. Now,
Exactly.
expressing your hate is one thing. Doing something about your hate is the thing that is a criminal act. If what
Right.
you're doing is damaging someone's property or hurting them,
Right. Now,
well, that's a different conversation.
if they're burning somebody else's flag, like a flag that belongs to a building, then that would be arson. But that would be like, a public nuisance or a public violation. If they're burning their own flag, it's their own flag. If they're burning somebody else's flag, that would actually be a criminal act.
It is someone else's flag. There's a personal property issue. But I go back to, if it's legal to take those flags away from people, well then too bad. I don't care if it is your flag. If you're going to burn it, then you can just declare it. They have a word for flags that are about to be decommissioned. I guess maybe is a word
Right. I
for
think
it.
decommissioned, yeah.
If they're going to burn it, if they're literally about to light the thing on fire or have lit the thing on fire, then I think there's a compelling legal case to say that flag has at that point been decommissioned
Right.
and
Exactly.
and is refuse and is not their property anymore.
Right. I agree. So it's weird that we have these two issues here coming up in the same week. I mean, we have the First Amendment issue here with the flag, and we have the Second Amendment issue here with a trans person shooting up a school and a church and everything at the same time. And people are not really understanding here that we have several historical violations against churches here in the last year. I think there's been over 400 attacks on churches and synagogues.
Well, and didn't we have another trans shooter about a year ago?
Yeah, we did.
What was that person?
I can't remember exactly which one. There's been so many here lately, but there's
Well,
a single
it's
crazy
not that
people doing it.
there is so many more of them. It's that they hype them more with everything. There's more
Right.
hype every time, and it just seems like there's more of them. Now the threshold for what is national news just gets lower and lower and lower.
Well, that's true, but I don't think we've had as many mass. I mean, I think we're having more mass shootings because one thing that is got to stop is the middle. I mean, is allowing guns in schools and everything. I mean, now granted, this has nothing to do with here, with this situation, but I mean, having metal detectors and fixing the souls of
I'm
this
sorry,
country, I think would
where
do
are
good.
guns allowed in school again?
What? Well, I mean, there's not a lot of metal detectors, so people are taking. I mean, even here in this county here, we had a kid, a 5-year-old, take her gun, or her mom stuck the gun in the kid's backpack. She said, "Give it to your dad when he picks you up from school." Exactly. We have some ridiculously stupid parenting going on here, and the kid forgot to give it to her dad, and she was running around with the gun in her backpack for 2 or 3 days, and she pulled it out to show her friends. And she was
Well,
like in
that'll get you
kindergarten or
busted.
first grade. This is in Clay County, Florida, by the way. And so if anybody doesn't know where that is, it's just around Jacksonville area. And so it's in Clay County, Florida. And the parent basically said, "Well, it's not my problem that the kid forgot to give the gun to her dad." The parent actually
Uh,
blamed the kid
yes, it
for
is.
forgetting to give the gun to her father. The kid's 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, the
How
thing is, if
about
there's a metal detector, nobody would know.
well, well,
Or somebody would know, I mean.
well, regardless, I don't think that it would have because it's actually illegal to give a firearm to a 6-year-old.
Yeah,
There's a
well,
Florida state law that makes it a felony, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, the parents arrested, and I think they're in jail probably right now.
Yeah, okay, I have no doubt that they are.
It's just so weird. I mean,
Mhm.
we live in Florida here, and Florida is a wonderful state here where we have the governor having his wife run for governor now. And that's just turning into one weird circus show because I mean the governor had to close down Alligator Alcatraz because of all the environmental contaminations, and I guess there's a difference between setting up a prison and setting up a prison where you just start poisoning people. I guess I mean
Well,
I don't know, or
look,
hypothetically,
you can't buy into what they're saying there
well,
because
that's very true.
one of the contaminants of concern is iron.
Iron's dangerous.
Iron is not dangerous. Iron is in the groundwater. You know, in for the entire panhandle, and I know the geology shifts right around the Big Bend, and maybe probably about 40 miles south of the Big Bend, it starts to change.
What was there, lead in the paint?
But no, it has not goddamn thing to do with lead either. It's it's the so the reason buildings, you know, throughout Florida are stained orange on the bottom of them is because those buildings have irrigation wells and they pull groundwater out of a shallow well,
Right.
and then those sprinklers are adjusted so they actually hit the building and are improperly adjusted and hit the building, and it leaves an iron stain on the side of the building. It is not poisonous. It is not a contaminant. It is naturally occurring. But the DEP and environmentalists will use the groundwater standards for all sorts of frankly benign materials in order to affect different policy changes. And this is one of them.
Right. I guess they're going to be building a facility, or they're renovating a facility up here where I live, or near where I live, between Stark and Jacksonville, Florida. This is going to be in Baker County, That's going to be the next facility, and so there's not very many alligators up there. There's more Florida panthers up there, and there's more Florida, and so it might be panther Alcatraz instead of alligator Alcatraz. But
Oh, that whole stupid alligator thing was ridiculous anyway. I mean, we used to play with alligators that size when I was a
exactly,
kid.
there's alligators all over the place around here. I mean, I have photos which will probably show this here Payne's Prairie in Gainesville. I think we had like 2 or 3 gators in one day. We just ran across like 20, 30 feet away. Now, granted, you don't want to play with them or play fetch with them because they will scare the hell out of you. But, they're not going to bother you unless you bother them.
Alligators, generally speaking, unless you get between them and the water or you get near their nest, alligators are shy. They prefer to
Right.
stay away from people for sure, and frankly, a lot of animals on the shore. If they were caimans or crocodiles, it'd be a different conversation because those are similar looking animals that are extremely aggressive.
Yeah, crocodiles will like to take a bite out of you.
They will come out of the water to get you. Them and caimans both.
What's a caiman?
It's a South American reptile that looks a lot like an alligator, except caimans you can tell have a very pointed nose.
Okay.
So they're very similar, but their nose is a lot narrower. Alligators have a big, wide, rounded nose. Crocodiles is less rounded, and caimans is just about a point. And the pointier the nose, the more ill-tempered the animal.
Well, just to give Florida a little bit more boost on the national stage, our former state senator Joe Gruters has now been appointed to the Republican National Committee chairman
Yeah, yeah. You know why that is?
nationally.
Yeah, you know why that is? Because Florida doesn't want him in government.
Can't say that
That was
on
a deal.
camera.
That was a deal that they made to run him out of the state.
Well, he was going to run for CFO, and I guess
I
Blaze and
understand. He
Glozia.
was, and he wasn't going to get any support from leadership.
Right. Well, Blaze wasn't going to run until he got appointed. Now that he's appointed, he will probably run to go ahead and fulfill that seat in an elected position. As Blaze is he was a pretty good state senator, and he was a good guy. And Joe Gruters did do a lot of good work. I mean, he did a lot of good stuff here with the Trump organization, MAGA, and everything. And so he really has pushed that agenda area really well. And so he's good at fundraising. That's what he's good at. And so
He is good at fundraising, but boy, I just
yeah, we
you
have
know
stories,
yeah,
but
and no,
I support him greatly as an RNC chair, though. I think he'll do a great job at fundraising and the RNC, and we'll leave it at that.
yeah, well,
Our silence is deafening.
well, you know, I'm not going to tell a whole bunch of stories about that man, but he wouldn't be my first. To me, he's too much of a political machine, man.
He
And
was
that's
handpicked
my
by Trump.
actual, huh?
He was handpicked by Trump.
I don't care. I don't care. Hey, Trump picked Matt Gates too. He doesn't. Trump doesn't know everything.
That's very true.
Sometimes Trump mistakenly believes the press. These guys' talking points as far as who they are and what they do and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm just surprised. I'm just confounded that Susie Wiles just continues to support some of the people that Trump is appointing.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just not listening to her. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. And so I mean, it'll be one interesting ride there for the RNC because I mean, they did have Trump's daughter-in-law or stepdaughter, I guess, running everything. I think she did a pretty good job.
I think it's his daughter-in-law.
His stepdaughter, yeah. No, sorry, not his daughter-in-law. Yeah, Eric's wife.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
she's not a stepdaughter,
I have a brain for today. That has to do when I lose too much weight. That's me brain cells.
right? Exactly. But they don't have. I hate having to bite my tongue this much, but it's they're just not good, in my opinion. I'm not trying to create a controversy because it's not a lack of qualifications because these people are
They're very
qualified.
qualified.
I just question their agenda. That's the bottom line. They're not bad people. Other than Matt, Matt's a bad person. But these other folks, they're not bad people. I just question their agenda.
Right.
He's like the John Bolton of fundraising.
John Bolton got raided last week.
Yeah, well,
And he's confused on why.
yeah, I know, right?
He comes out and attacks Trump on every single thing. Now he said that if you go against Trump, you might have retribution. Well, if you start saying the things that he says about Trump and knowing what he knows and everything else, yeah,
Well, when you're criticizing Trump for being guilty of crimes that you're actually guilty of yourself and other people know it, well, that's the heartburn that I have with political retribution as the name of this, because just because you charge someone else, you were the first to charge someone else, doesn't mean that we're not going to charge you if you're actually guilty.
right.
These people are making up charges against Trump of things that they're actually guilty of. I saw the best quote from Letitia James today, talking about how the rules for the powerful cannot be different than the rules for the less powerful. When it comes to how they represent mortgages or themselves in order to obtain credit. And she is literally one of the people who falsified documents in order to get a more favorable mortgage rate. And we've had 3 people do that, including Lisa Cook, who's a Fed board governor. I can't wait to watch her get walked out of the building.
That's ridiculous. How in the world are you on the Fed board and you're falsifying your own mortgage documents? That's called fraud. That should disqualify you as being on the board of the Federal Reserve dictating financial and monetary policy.
I hate to tell you, but in matters of financial regulation, they don't have to convict you of a crime to toss you for I guess what would amount to moral turpitude or something like that.
I don't think there's a union for her, is there?
It doesn't. No, well, she's management, so no. But here's how guilty Wall Street thinks she is. Donald Trump fired her, and the stock market went up. Now, I'm not saying firing her made it go up. I'm saying that they were so unconcerned that Donald Trump was firing her that it went up regardless.
Well, I also think they're so happy and relieved that there's actually some cleaning up of corruption and the government halls of the economic policy world. There's a lot of screwed up stuff going on.
There is, but Wall Street doesn't give a crap about
corruption.
Corruption? No,
You think so?
They want to know. Wall Street's concern about corruption is knowing that someone is corrupt and in what way they're corrupt, so that they can leverage it.
Well, they leveraged the hell out of Cracker Barrel. Or Cracker Barrel reversed its logo. Then I guess Cracker Barrel had a Pride website they were supporting. They had to tear that one down. Who is in charge of Cracker Barrel right now? Who's making these woke? Didn't they realize wokeness is gone? Wokeness is over.
Yeah, it is. It is truly over.
The new Buzz Lightyear movie. Even Snoop Dogg was upset about that. His grandson was saying, "Hey, how come 2 ladies are having a baby?" And he's like, "What do you mean? I can't answer this question." And so, Snoop Dogg's even flipping out about that. It's this whole wokeness and this whole, DEI and Disney's got to stop. They're losing viewers by the millions.
That's what's so infuriating to me about the whole DEI thing to begin with. The blank, so what look that they give you when you start talking about how you're going to explain this to your kids. And they say, well, you're going to be a normal parent. You're going to do what you're supposed to do and explain it to them. I said, if I was doing what I was supposed to do, I would never have to explain that to kids because they'd never see it.
And that's actually
until a kid's brain and body are wired for sex, then trying to explain it to them is like trying to explain math to a caterpillar. They have no
Right.
idea what the hell you're talking about.
I mean, and I'm trying to explain to people who I know who are working in the movement of the DEI movement, and they're trying to trying to tell me, that it's racist to be against the DEI. I'm like, I mean, guys, it's about treating everybody right and remembering history. Now, granted, there's a lot of history that people need to remember that they forget with with the African American community, with the Hispanic community, with the Native American community, and all that. That's all fine, but that's called history. I mean,
You mean
it's
how much
not
more successful?
revising it, rewriting it.
You mean like how much more successful the black community was before the civil rights movement?
Correct.
I mean, they had isolated incidents that were horrible, but as a group, the black community and look, I'm not saying we should bring back any of we should roll back the civil rights laws and stuff like that. We should craft them differently so that we don't have so it's not an issue of equity. The entire when they started shifting the conversation to equity was when we started having problems. Because
Equity is not
equity
equal.
cannot be forced.
Exactly. Equity is not equal. And people seem to think that because EQU and they both mean the same thing. And some people, for some reason, are not wrapping it around their heads. Equity is not equality. And that for some reason, they're confusing the narrative. They're confusing the definition of the words. And I mean, maybe they're doing it, I'm assuming they're most likely doing it on purpose for fundraising reasons.
Of course they are.
But, the reality here for people who need to know is that, equality is what we're looking for everybody to be equal. One person, man and woman under God, period.
Equity means that the outcomes are exactly the same for everyone, regardless of how much effort they put forward or what they try or what their focus is, whatever they are. No matter what, everything comes out equal. That's equity. I'm not even talking about lazy. I'm talking about people who have less training versus more training, or frankly have more interest in this than that. But under DEI, they should they should get the same outcome for both things, regardless of whether they were focusing on this or this. And there's just no practical way to do that. It's not going to happen. And they don't care that it's not going to happen because solving the problem is not their agenda. Raising money is their agenda.
Exactly. It's a mess.
It is a mess.
I mean, it's like this whole CDC shooter here a couple of weeks ago. And that was an example on the far right side of, once again, crazy people doing crazy things. And people kept on saying, oh, it's right-wing people coming after the CDC for, because it's, no, it's a crazy person who basically took the MAGA movement and took it to the extreme and enacted it on buildings and on people and shooting workers and shooting people at the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia. It's, but what we have here is, isolated incidences, a lot of isolated instances of just really insane people getting these weapons. And I think they're finding that out in DC, where they are arming the National Guard now, and they are arresting record numbers of people all throughout DC that was supposedly had a 30-year low in crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good Chamber of Commerce move there, guys. But it's not a reality. The reality here is that they were the most dangerous capital in the world. They're more dangerous than Mexico City. They're more dangerous than Baghdad. They're more dangerous than Paris, London, Moscow. I mean, guys, Beijing was safer, for God's sakes. Ever seen, what's that movie, Hangover? You don't want to go get lost over there in, in that country. And that's safer than DC. I mean, and not anymore, because now that Trump has taken over the system, the law enforcement system, the way that they are doing it properly, it's working, guys. And it's not bad to be safe. It's not a crime. It shouldn't be criminalized to be safe. You guys should not be afraid of that. Y'all should embrace it and love it.
I'm willing to bet that by the time Trump has had control of DC for a month, that we will be that we will have no more than one or two murders, maybe not that many, for the entire month. And then when Donald Trump hands control back over to the DC, just back over to DC and pulls the federal authorities out of there,
Metro.
and they start having crimes again, how are they going to defend it?
Exactly.
How?
They just won't talk about it.
That's actually the core of what Trump's doing, is he's establishing a record for, we do it my way, this happens. We do it your way, this happens.
Well, what they're finding out is that they weren't even correct. They weren't even reporting the crimes. I mean, people are being robbed and shot, and they're basically reporting them as misdemeanors. I mean, they're cooking the books.
They were reporting some of those as accidents, like some of the deaths are accidental deaths. And before Stephen Miller put that story out there, I knew that's what was going on, because the FBI told us that's what was going on. They said it without saying it. What the FBI said was that you can't reliably track crime statistics by the raw numbers, because so many things change over the years. And what they meant was that the way that we count things has changed over the years. So, I mean, there they are, the FBI, telling us point blank that they're altering the way that crimes are counted. That's why, when they started doing the mass shootings, well, they changed mass shootings so that it counts like three people. 3 people now is a mass shooting. Well, that used to be called a robbery.
Right. It used to be mass shooting was 10 or more. Then it became 9 or more. And just a trickle down to numerically go down to, I guess, 3 or more now.
And then things that are like school shootings, that they'll count things as school shootings, where a car, there's some kind of a chase, foot chase in front of a that didn't start in front of the school. It was like started blocks away, and it happens at some point that the people running away are shooting back towards the people that are chasing them,
Right.
not to the school, are shooting back to them, and they happen to, at some point, discharge a firearm in front of the school. Is that a school shooting? No. It's a robbery.
It's on school grounds.
No, it's in the right of way.
Well, you got a point there, but I mean, really quick, getting back to school safety and everything, do you think metal detectors would help any?
No.
So what's your solution then for?
I think that you stop eroding parental control and make parents understand their actual responsibilities in caring for these children and raising these children.
I mean, okay, but how's that going to stop crazy people from going in school with a gun?
Because we didn't have crazy people back in the 80s when we weren't destroying families right and left.
Well, that's very true. But I mean, these crazy people aren't like students; they're like older adults.
I personally brought handled guns in school. When I was on the competitive shooting team at school, I would carry a rifle and ammunition and a shooting jacket from the ROTC building to the other side of the school, walking through the inside of the school to the shooting range on the other side.
Really?
Not a single person gave me a sideways glance, and not a single person got shot.
What year was this?
84. Well, that would have been 82.
Well, I was a 90s high schooler, and I think it had been locked down by then.
When I was there, I used to wear a buck knife lock blade on my hip.
A friend of mine did that, yeah.
At school, through the 80s, the principal borrowed my knife a couple times.
Yes, guys, we are in Florida.
No one got shot.
Because we're Florida men. That's the way it is down here. The South is wonderful like this. It's wonderful freedom.
Right. It's because I was raised right.
Yeah, it's been wonderful freedoms here. Because that's the whole thing. If you're raised properly, you're not going to abuse the weapons. You're not going to abuse the firearms. You're not going to abuse the knives. You're not going to stab people at school.
It's not an abuse of the weapons. You're not going to try to go kill people. You're not going to be motivated to go kill people.
Right.
With a gun, a knife, an explosive, or a car.
Well, we used to have kids get like expelled or something in Escambia County when I was a kid for like just carrying like a pocket knife or a nail file. They like try to attack a student or something, or another teacher with a little sharp object, and it like come and arrest a 6-year-old or 7-year-old. That was back in the late 90s.
and that's
Jim Paul
stupid
did
too.
that,
But
or
well,
Jim
I
May
mean,
did that.
you got to do something, and compelling them to get into some sort of counseling would be one. With that, so that being a vehicle to compel them to get into counseling, and then having their record expunged once they complete that, and then a period of time where where they've don't get into any trouble. Well, now we got a thing, but go back to, they're just punishing the kid. It's the parents that need punishing.
Exactly. And also, just to give everybody a little bit of background knowledge about that area, or about that era back then, these are two different superintendents of school in Escambia County that were both had relieved of duty or doing some really weird stuff. And so they probably did not have the best decision-making abilities in their head going on at the same time.
What that has not a damn thing in the world to do with those two policies.
Well, they're both cross-dressers.
And okay, and how does that have anything to do with that? That's just a way of, that's a left tactic of demonizing people because you don't have something substantive policy to say about them. That's why they got relieved of duty. I get that, but does that have anything to do with the quality of their decision making on other topics? No.
Why not? No. Anyway, but I mean, I don't know. I do know that the soul of this country has got to get better here with people in violence here and their aggravation and anger with. I mean, the left's handling of everything is just so angry right now. Now, this is not just me demonizing the left. However, once again, like we've said in the past, the right wingers, except for the CDC guy, most of them are not doing this kind of rampant violence against people just for irritating their point of view.
Well, if you want to see the difference, I like to go back to the Trump campaign, where people were going to both liberal, people would go to Trump events wearing a Biden shirt, and then the same person would get a Biden shirt and go to a Trump event, and
they're treated totally differently.
And it's totally different. The conservative Republicans, or the Trump supporters would welcome them. They give them a little bit of a little bit of ribbon and stuff like that, but they're not like violently treated. They're frankly not treating them like they get treated at a Biden rally. They get treated at a Biden rally, and there are people cursing at them and trying to run them out and calling them all sorts of names. That's all you have to understand the difference in these people.
Exactly. You wear a MAGA hat to a Tim Walz or any kind of a DCCC organizational meeting or anything like that, or any Democrat fundraiser. You wear a MAGA shirt or a MAGA hat or anything like that, you will be ridiculed, torn apart, shredded, probably physically as well. Now, if you and if you wore a liberal shirt or anything like that to a Republican event, they'll just walk in with open arms and pray for you.
That's it. That's the most aggressive thing you hear from them. I'll pray for you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, seriously, guys. I mean, this whole hate has got to stop.
Well, these people need to recognize in themselves that being told and being encouraged to behave this way is the number one indicator that they're on the wrong team.
Exactly.
Because if you can't persuade people with your ideas, then what's the quality of your ideas? It's like if your idea has to be enforced at the point of a gun, it ain't much of an idea.
Right. I mean, come up with a better idea. Right? I mean, get smarter, use your head more. I mean, it's kind of like when we said a few weeks ago, Democrats do stupid things. Democrats do dumb things as well. I mean, just it's not that hard. Just have a little bit more critical thinking, a little bit less, depending on the talking points, a little bit more, organizing, and come with some better ideas. I mean, without having to use a gun or a knife or threats or burning flags or burning buildings or burning anything. I mean, these protests are still going on all over the country.
Well, all I can tell you is that if the main focus of your idea, is justified by how people feel, then you don't have an idea. All you're doing, and you're not going to sell your idea. But again, people don't want to. The people that are pushing those ideas that way don't want to sell their ideas. They don't want to solve a problem. They want to make money, and you know, I know I sound like a broken record, but you watch this stuff over the years, and you see these people say dumb things, and you think, oh, maybe I just don't know. Maybe I just don't know what they know. And then the story evolves, and you never find out what it is that they know that you didn't know. And the reason is because they don't know anything that you don't know.
Well, it looks like Russia is playing around again here. We had to scatter some jets here to stop them from going over our American airspace here.
Yeah.
I guess NORAD is tracking them. I guess they're going over Canada. What's Russia thinking?
It's just a flex. Russia wants to do things that, they want people to acknowledge that they have power. That they are someone, and they don't. It's like North Korea. We were saying the other day, with North Korea, talking about how they're going to ramp up their military to defend the homeland against the United States, when the reality is everyone on the planet knows that if the United States actually wanted to invade them, we could create a situation where where China couldn't intervene, and that war would last about 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of Russia flying spy planes over Alaska and Canada, I mean, that's just that's stupid.
It's
That's
very
really,
stupid.
really stupid. I mean, and now China doesn't want to work with us on the denuclearization talks and everything else of getting rid of the nuclear weapons in Russia and America, and China wants no part of it. So I guess China just wants to keep on pushing the nuclear effort for Russia. So I mean,
It's okay. What people don't understand is the stronger the U.S. economy gets, the weaker the Chinese economy is going to get, because we're going to be doing it by taking things from them that we used to give them.
So what were we going to say about the Federal Reserve? You were saying earlier the Federal Reserve might be lowering interest rates.
No. Before the Fed lowers interest rates, they always kind of start putting out this little chatter about like not saying it but saying it. They always do, and that's so that the markets can kind of bake that rate increase into over like about a week or so, instead of it all happening one day, because they don't like jarring things happening in the market.
Right. But I guess
they're doing that right now.
Well, I guess you said the tariffs really did not cause inflation earlier. Hey, we talked about it off the air before the show.
They don't cause inflation. They can cause a bump, a price bump, and people won't like that. But my comment about that: if you don't like the price increase, buy American.
Exactly. That's what's working.
And because as far as I know, we're not tariffing a single American good. So buy American, or at least, even if it's not American, buy something that is, if you're buying it and it's a foreign company like Toyota or Kia or Hyundai or any of these guys, or even Mercedes, make sure that the one you're buying was manufactured in America.
Yeah, I think Mazda, is now being made by Ford, so they're all in America.
Well, Mazda already had manufacturing in America.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So I mean, a lot of these automobiles here, I mean, they're avoiding all the tariffs, and I think that's kind of the whole point here is that I think it is now time to lower interest rates now that the economy is getting better. It is growing. Now, granted, where I live at, the prices are not dropping too much, but I'm over here on the east coast of Florida where a whole bunch of rich snobs live. But that's just the way it is. It's I'm sure it's different in every zip code.
I hate to break everyone's heart, but the inflation that we experienced under Biden is not going to go away. I mean, the prices are not going to drop. Frankly, it would be difficult if the price. It's kind of tough on the economy when prices do drop. That's what's really insidious about inflation is that the only thing that you can do to safely correct it is halt it, because if you try to make it go back down, then you can get an economic contraction, and that is very bad.
Right. Deflation people don't realize it's just as bad as inflation.
You know, it can be worse.
It can be worse, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and people just don't get that. I mean, they come and say, we want everything to drop. I'm like, but if all the prices drop, then the people making are going to get paid less. And the whole multiplier effect goes right out the window and down the toilet. Now, gas prices in Florida are down around 30 cents for the month.
Yeah, well, when we talk about about the way out of this inflation, the way out of this inflation is for wages to go up and
Exactly.
for GDP to go up. If wages and GDP go up, then you're not really going to have inflation because there will be more products for people to buy and more money with which to buy it because they have better jobs domestically.
That's the whole idea is, I mean, once the monetary numbers go up that people are paying out for salaries and everything else, and they're going to have more disposable income to make the purchases with, and it rises everything up. And people just don't get that. I mean, and employers are finally starting to pay more. I mean, the biggest thing is managing your money properly and basically be smart on how you spend everything. I mean, it's a tough market out there. I was talking to people, and the positions are just not being as high for salaries as they were before COVID. I mean, it's almost like they're coming back down to pre-COVID salaries and pre-COVID pay, because I guess during COVID they bumped it up because everybody's getting a lot of government money and incentives and stuff like that. But now that that's gone, the wages are coming down just a little bit, which
Well, I
is
haven't
kind of
heard anything about
interesting.
wages. I haven't heard anything about wages coming down. But again, I want to reiterate, if wages go up, as long as GDP goes up as well, then it's not a problem. That's called economic growth. That is
Exactly.
the thing that we're shooting for is better wages and better productivity. You get those two things and we are unstoppable. And again, it takes stuff away from China. Everyone celebrates the rise of China, but for 40
Why?
years they have compelled our most successful companies to transfer technology to them, and they turn right around and use that technology to compete against them. It's really easy to be successful when you don't have an R&D budget. Your R&D
Exactly.
budget is basically how do you implement the technology that you're stealing from other people.
Yeah, whenever you use identity theft as your whole goal, and and basically stealing all the concepts and intellectual property and basically basically literally identity theft with making fake IDs and everything else over here for the voters, so to go ahead and influence policies in America to go ahead and benefit your own country. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, China has gone way overboard in a lot of different areas, and they've gone away with everything. And people are still celebrating them screwing us every which way, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, that's extremely confusing to me too because I don't know why anyone would think that these are damaged people that believe this, and I keep going back to liberals are damaged people who feel like they need some sort of retribution against society because they were treated badly. Let me tell you, the reason you were treated badly was because as a country, we have actively worked to destroy the family that would have given you a father that would teach you how to be tough and a mother that would teach you how to be how to be gentle and caring and empathetic.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to talk
And
about
and
communist
look,
countries?
and don't get me wrong. I don't care if your parents are men, women, whatever. As long as they're not treating you to be, to do, as long as they're training you to do things that are destructive to having a family.
Exactly. They need to treat you with love. Not, and basically to treat, there's a lot of parents who just raise these kids here to think about themselves only. It's all about self, self, self. Nothing about community, nothing about family, nothing about any kind of, working with other people.
They teach them by example. It's not that they sit
Exactly.
those kids down and do it. They demonstrate how to be selfish and narcissistic, and that narcissistic term is kind of
Overused.
it is very overused and not entire and often incorrectly
Yes.
because because very often it's really nothing more than a talking point for people that want to push mostly feminist issues. And I don't disagree with women having equality equal to their merit, to their ability, equality equal to their ability. If they're capable of doing something, that's great. But we don't need to actively recruit women into positions that they're not trained for and not qualified for. I love it when women come in and show capabilities for things that are
Yeah,
traditionally men's roles.
exactly. I mean,
They're not, but I hate it when they're there just as a token.
yeah, I don't like any kind of. I mean, one thing I do not like is bystanders. I mean, whenever you're in a work or a project, and you and I both deal with this a lot. We have projects that we're working on, and people always just sit around. They do like 1 or 2, maybe 3%. They're like, "Hey, I can we're not like anyway." And so, I mean, it's frustrating in this world of advertising and communications and stuff like that. People don't realize exactly how all the sausage is made, and the reality here is that the people who are putting all the skin in usually don't talk about all the skin that they're putting in because they're just putting it in. I mean, because whenever you're a worker, you're a worker. You don't brag about how much you're doing or complain about how much you're doing. You just get it done, and that's kind of the whole point. And so, yeah, it's weird the way society is twisting everything around right now. It is real quick, but also one thing I want to bring right back about the communist people real quick on China. How come they can be more like Vietnam? Vietnam actually works with us very well on trade and works with us very well on all of the times with economic policies and economic transfer and everything else. I mean, they're great partners and they're communistic as well.
Well, just I mean, realize that if we gave them the level of deference that we give the Chinese, they would be treating us just like the Chinese are.
That might be possible.
It is not remotely impossible. We just had to give South Korea a talking to.
Exactly.
So
Well, real quick, I want to thank everybody for subscribing on YouTube. We are proud of you guys overcoming the achievement of the algorithm killing us. And so, I mean, we've had 85 people subscribe in the last week and a half. So just keep it up, keep sharing, keep liking, keep making comments. We have some great comments on there. And some of you guys think we're crazy. That's wonderful. We could be. Some of y'all, like our statements. That's great. But just keep on sharing it, liking it, and subscribing to it, and watching us, and let everybody know because there are not a lot of, we're not a right wing conservative podcast, but we are a podcast of two right wingers who are conservative, who are basically telling the truth about, our insights of over 30 years both in politics and campaigns, and it's a different kind of insight.
well, it's the view from backstage.
Exactly.
So
Well, so show your cup again real quick. That's a little bit of swag we have. We're gonna get in the camera there. We're a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna get some coffee mugs here and some T-shirts here, and it'll be on our website here that we'll be updating here pretty soon. PoliticalMatrixNews.com. And so you guys go ahead and stay tuned with that.
I say thanks for sitting around and indulging us with your time. We appreciate it. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the flip side.